Hi everyone, so we're looking at APA style part 3 this week, and I have kind of a short lecture for you because you're going to be watching a video from the Writing Center. I worked very closely with one of our tutors there, Jasmine, who I believe you've seen earlier in the semester, to put together some information about how to cite your sources in APA style inside the paper, which we call in-text citations, and then how to make a references page for an APA style paper. So I'm going to go over a couple of little things here, but I'm keeping it short and sweet since you will be also watching her video and I don't want to overlap too much. So, and we have looked at, what is APA formatting, who uses it, what is the point, and how to avoid plagiarism. We've looked a little bit at kind of general formatting rules, the different sections of a paper in APA style part 2. And now we're focusing mainly on the citations, which are definitely their own entity and can be a big task to undertake. So we're going to look a little bit at how you cite your sources in the paper, in text citations, and then a little bit about how to format a references page. And I do want to show you two resources that you can find online, as there are an incredible number of helpful resources. You don't need to memorize this information. You just need to know where to go to get help and to have some more resources at your disposal. So if we look a little bit at citing things in the paper, APA in-text citation basics. There are a couple of things just to highlight here. And again, Jasmine will be going over this more for you in the weekly lecture, which I'll show you on Twitch this week. But when you're using APA style format, you're going to follow the author date method of in-text citation, which means the author's last name and the year of publication for the source should appear in the text. Like, for example, Jones 1998. So APA cares a lot about the year. So we're always putting the author's name, comma, and then the year, right? So anytime that you are citing a source, that's going to be the kind of basic format that you're going to follow. Obviously, it can get much more complicated if you have multiple authors and depending on the source. If you're referring to an idea from another work, but not directly quoting the material, or you're making reference to an entire book, an article, or other work, you only have to make reference to the author and the year of publication, not the page number in your in-text citation. So if you're summarizing or making reference to something much larger, like an entire book, article, or work, then you're just going to cite the author and the year, kind of like you're seeing right here. And you can see in the example up here on the right. If you're directly quoting or borrowing from another work, you need to include the page number at the end of that parenthetical citation. So you'd use the abbreviation P for one page or PP for multiple pages before listing the page number. And you would use a dash if you have like a range of pages that you're citing. For example, you might write Jones, 1998, page 199, or Jones 1998, PP 199 to 201. So if you're quoting something, you do have to include the page number from that quote so that somebody could go back and find it and reference it. If you're really closely like referencing something from a few pages in the book or an article or journal, then you would cite the range of pages that you're providing. Regardless of how they're referenced, all sources that are cited in your text must appear in the reference list at the end of the paper. So if you cite anything in your paper in the in-text citations, it should be something that we could find on the references page, which we'll talk about more in a second. So let's say that like you are talking about something from Jones 1998. And as the reader, I'm like, oh, maybe I should read that study because it sounds really relevant. I should be able to scroll back to your references page, find that citation, and then I could go look up that article if I wanted to keep going with my literature review. The other really big part of this APA style part 3 is the references page. And we haven't talked about this too much other than it should be there. Every different type of citation method has its own name for the references page. So if you were using MLA, it might say works cited. Other methods might say bibliography. But APA style formatting uses references. So this is a separate page at the end of your paper where all of the sources that you've used in your paper that you've cited in the main text are going to be listed. And again, the main purpose for this is that somebody can see where you got your information and then also go find those articles or books if they wanted to know more. And as for formatting of this page, it should say references, as it says right here, as a title at the top of the page. There should be 1-inch margins on all sides, standard for your entire paper that you're writing in APA style format. The page number should be at the top right-hand corner. And this again should be something that has continued throughout the entire paper that you're writing in this style. Double spacing within and between the references. So you can see here that there are double spaces everywhere throughout this entire references page. There is one thing though that is a little bit unique and can be a little bit tricky to format. And that's something that APA style calls a 1/2-inch hanging indent for references longer than one line. So you'll notice right here that Festin, for example, or Bacalar, they start 1 inch over with the margins, but the second and third line have a hanging indent. They're indented in another 1/2 inch. And the purpose for this is so you can see very easily where one source ends and the next one begins. But this is something that is a little bit unique to APA style formatting, having this 1/2 inch hanging indent for any resources longer than one line. You'll also notice that the references are sorted alphabetically. So you're going to go through and sort them in alphabetical order to make it very easy for your reader to find the reference that they are looking for. And again, Jasmine will go over this a little bit more, and I have some resources for you in the lecture online for this week. But I did want to talk about a few of these components just to make sure that I've given you my input on them in addition. And the other thing that I really want to share with you, as I mentioned at the beginning, is there are an incredible number of APA style resources that you can find online to help you with writing papers in this style. Very few people actually memorize APA style formatting rules, and you don't need to. And in fact, the second that you memorize them, they will probably update them and change everything. So rather than memorizing how to use these things, what it's much more helpful is to know where to go to get help. And we have a writing center, which is fantastic at our college, and it's free for you, and they have an incredible number of resources. But there are also a few great online resources that I'd like to share with you that I think are very, very strong and often very helpful. So Scribr and the Purdue Online Writing Lab, or OWL, are probably the two best ones that are universally used. Scribr has a wonderful citation generator along with some APA style like reference guides. And Purdue is a very popular online resource for APA along with other styles. So let me show you what those look like really quickly, just so that you could explore them on your own. Right, if you went to Scribr, and these are linked out to you in the lecture, you can see here that it has, this is the home page. If you were to go up to citation tools, there's an APA style citation generator. And then there are some citation guides over here for like APA style and so on. So what you can do is you can put all of your information into these generators, and it will spit out an APA style article for you. So create APA citations for free. It'll ask you what is the style or the source that you're using. There's a citation guide that you can find on here. Really, really helpful resource for you to use. The other one, which is also very commonly used, is the OWL at Purdue, their online writing lab. And this one has a lot of resources as well, and much beyond APA style formatting. If you scroll down, here's a bunch of different resources. And one of their most popular ones right here is APA Formatting and Style Guide. And you'll notice that all of these are the 7th edition, which is fantastic. If it's anything before the 7th, ignore it. But they have workshops, style guides, videos, how to do posters, all sorts of different things over here, a bunch of different resources that can be very, very helpful for you. They have sample papers that are on here, how to avoid plagiarism. So just an incredible number of resources online. And again, these are linked out for you in the lecture for this week, which I'll show you when we are on Twitch during our scheduled time. So the last thing that I'd just like to add is remember that the online citation generators are rarely 100% accurate. They're pretty close. And most of the time it's going to be close enough, especially for our purposes. But you always want to double check them before just putting it into a paper or an assignment. So it's probably close, but make sure that you use them as more of like a starting point and then double check them before you just blindly use them and assume that they're correct. So that's it for my portion that I wanted to share with you. Make sure that you do watch that Writing Center video that I will point out to you in the lecture when we meet. Also, make sure you get going on all the other required weekly materials and get them done before the posted deadline.